Good morning, everybody. Merry Christmas to all those celebrating. Today is Friday, December 25th, 2020, and this is the search news we covered over at the Search Engine Roundtable at seroundtable.com. My name is Barry Schwartz. Got a lot to discuss, but not something so significant that was earth-shattering this week, thankfully. The big things were Google spoke a little bit more about core updates. Google also spoke a little bit more about quality and indexing and algorithms around that. I'll share you some news about that. Finally, the request indexing tool has begun to work again, and so much more. So stay tuned. All right, so like I said, there was nothing so significant, but there's a lot of good tidbits that came out this week because John Mueller was extremely busy and his colleagues were extremely busy posting information. First up, John was asked to reverse the December 2020 Google Core update, and John said, no, I'm not going to do that. But then he went through a long explanation of why not. And he basically said that there are a lot of great websites out there, even more so than they were 10 years ago, obviously. And there's always going to be great websites for any type of query for most general queries. He also said that 10 years ago, that wasn't the case. I mean, you could find, mediocre websites ranking very well, and it's really hard to do that these days. And Google's trying to recommend results that are not just truthful, but also remain valid through all Google Core updates. And sometimes even the searcher expectations are much higher now than they used to be. And Google tries to keep improving with that searcher expectation. And he goes through all these different types of things and basically says, now he understands how it could be frustrating when your website drops, but there are other websites out there that could rank well. Doesn't mean your website's horrible. It just means that there are other websites that Google finds to be better, and you have to continue to improve your website in order to continue to do well in Google. It's a pretty interesting post. Definitely take a look at that. He goes through that in detail. Another thing that John said in a Webmaster Hangout video was that Google, I think, potentially could ignore portions of your website when assessing quality of your website. And what I mean by that is that, and I believe what he means by that, or what he basically said by that, is that, as you know, Google will not index your whole site. Sometimes Google will index a portion of your website, and some of that times that depends on the quality of those pages. And Google will ignore certain types of pages because it doesn't think it's worthwhile crawling or indexing those pages. That being said, Google only assesses the quality of the pages that it has in their index, that it actually crawls and indexes. And if it's not crawling and indexing certain pages of your website, either because it determines not to because it doesn't want to, or because you block it from doing so, which is one of the strategies people use, is to block Google from accessing lower quality pages on your website, then Google will not assess the quality of those pages because they're not an index. So it's pretty interesting to see that as well. And there's a big thing around this. I posted about it on December 21st, so definitely take a look at that. And that could mean that, again, that Google will auto-ignore certain pages and you don't have to worry about it. You could probably bump out of a core update just because Google might ignore certain pages. Obviously, those pages won't rank if they're being ignored. Also, John Mueller talked about why you might see a portion of your site go up or down after an algorithm update. And Google does try to be granular on certain levels of algorithms. So when Google is able to be granular, certain pages of your website might drop, or certain sections of your website might drop. But when Google is more global in terms of site-wide things, usually around core updates and stuff like that, which is more site-wide, you will see the whole site indeed suffer versus just portions of the site. And Google has different algorithms that do different things. I asked Danny Sullivan if Google has rolled out passive indexing yet. There's some rumors and speculation that Google has. Google said, no, we have not rolled it out. So it doesn't seem like Google is going to be rolling out passive indexing in 2020. It will probably come sometime in early 2021. And then there's some speculation around core updates and BERT. Are they related? Are they not? And Danny Sullivan said, no, they are unrelated. They are not the same. When Google releases a core update, it has no impact on BERT and vice versa. So keep that in mind. Good news this week in Google Search Console field was that Google has finally made the request indexing tool work again after 69 days of it being disabled. It now is working. I think Google increased the quota limits on that, meaning decreased it, made it harder to submit as many pages as you would like, but there definitely seems to be some quota issues around the request indexing tool. But either way, it is still available now after 69 days of being offline. Google said that some of their search engines, not all their search engine algorithms, are suitable for machine learning. And this is the topic that goes between Bing versus Google, and it seems like Bing is way more likely to put it all in when it comes to machine learning and search, whereas Google is a little bit hands off in terms of machine learning. They like to use it in specific cases. It's probably used across lots of cases, but it's very granular in how they use it. They might use it for specific ways around crawling, indexing, or ranking, but not everything is based off of machine learning, because Google wants to, like I said in previous years, debug, figure out what's going on with the machine learning aspects of the algorithm so they're able to debug stuff. And John Mueller basically reiterated that basically saying that not all of Google's search algorithms use machine learning by far. Valentine Pletzer went ahead and did a study of 6,000 canonical URLs to see, at least in his case, which around this Google Discover, how long those URLs stay around. And it was pretty interesting. He shares some charts, which I'll share over here. And basically he said 61% or so of those stories last for about 1 to 24 hours. And then he broke it down even deeper to see the actual breakdown by 24 hours and then what URLs last longer. And again, keep in mind, Google Discover is really, really hard to measure because it's personalized for each and every one user. So what I get will be different than what you get and so forth. But you can see Google Discover stories from days and days ago, but most of the time you see them from hours and hours ago. So just keep that in mind. Microsoft Advertising launched a new health status dashboard, which basically show you the status of their APIs, the platform, the user interfaces, and so forth. So you can definitely take a look at that to see if your Microsoft Advertising is serving up ads and so forth very quickly. Google local panels, we saw this before with cars and so forth, dealerships, now are showing ads for lawyers in the actual local panel of a specific business, which is interesting. I can't replicate that. Google Guaranteed, according to Justin Sanger, is offering discounted prices if you prepay for the year, about $101 discount. I haven't been able to replicate that, but again, he showed that. Google also launched some cool new 3D streamed content where you can actually stream 3D cars and kind of overlay different interfaces and colors and different views of that car, which is pretty interesting. Google is testing square and multicolored search result category buttons. You can take a look at that over here. We see multiple tests around this as well, and Google's testing even more around this. Google's also testing people also search in a new location. You can see a screenshot of it over here. I'm able to replicate it in some browsers, so it is interesting to see them do that as well. And Google Search seems to launch popular product review sliders, which show you a little UI in a slider format, which you can see over here, and how those reviews are for that product. And finally, it is Christmas Day, and Google, Bing, Yahoo, Baidu, but not Segoa, and not Ask.com, and not Dogpile, and not a bunch of other search engines. They have logos, some do not. Here are some of those logos. Everybody who's watching on Christmas Day, have a happy Merry Christmas, happy holidays to everybody else. Looking forward to 2021 like everybody else. In any event, thank you so much for listening to the Search Buzz video recap. My name again is Barry Schwartz, and that is the search news we covered over at the Search Engine Roundtable at SERoundtable.com over the past week. Everyone have a relaxing, healthy, safe holidays. See you guys next week. Bye-bye.